Welcome back to Hoppline, and if there was a heading for this episode, it would be Don't Make My Mistakes. You know, I broke my feet and you always wanted to know how it happened. I got a lot of messages asking, begging me for making this video, and there's not much more to say than, here it is, let's go. There's been a lot of rumors on how I actually broke both my feet, and I didn't talk much about the accident itself on the diary. I'm a careful person and I usually don't take a lot of risk, but with this accident, a lot of small mistakes just added up step by step, and I'm gonna talk you through so you're not making the same mistakes. So it all happened on a regular wingfoil day. We had a solid forecast, good winds, heavy gusts, nothing special. I met up with a few other mates on the spot. I had a new wing, one I've never used before. I set up my foil, I set up my board, took it down to the beach, walked back to the car. I inflated the wing, and I think this is where I made my first mistake. My car was parked away from a boat ramp, and the boat ramp is actually on an angle, and this is where wind is shooting up. So the wind hits the boat ramp, it shoots up, and wherever something shoots up, some wind needs to go down on another spot, and this is exactly where I was parked. So I lifted the wing for the first time. I could feel the power, I could feel the tension in the canopy, but it was okay. Like, the wing was actually too big for me for that situation and the forecast, but I thought I'll be fine, I'll be okay, because I didn't feel the real wind. I was in the downpour of the wind of the circulation on the boat ramp. So this is the first mistake. Second mistake, I closed the car, walked to the beach, and I looked at the wing and not at the wind. Usually I can tell the gusts from the surface of the water, I can see them coming, but I didn't look at the water surface. I looked at the shiny new wing and I was blown away how cool it is. And I didn't see that a major gust was approaching the boat ramp. So I walked into that wind bouncing off, shooting straight up on the boat ramp. And I just pulled the wing a little bit, made a really small jump, and I was just, bam, shooting straight up. And with a split of a second or even less, I was 5-6 meters high, slowly drifting backwards. So at this point, I just want to cover some wingfoil basics real quick. For those who are not familiar with the physics behind wingfoiling, on every wing you have a COL, which is the center of lift. This is more or less where all forces pulling you up add together in the terms of physics. And you have a COG, this is your center of gravity. This is mainly you and your weight pulling the wing down. So if your COL and COG more or less line up, you're flying straight. If you're moving your COG, your center of gravity, forward, you are sinking, but at the same time the wing is dropping downwards. And if you're moving your COG, so your weight, back behind the COL, you're shooting up more or less, you're losing speed, and at some point you're drifting backwards and you might stall. So you might lose your lift and you're falling out of the sky. So my third mistake was a wrong hand placement. Because it was a new wing and I was not familiar with the wing, my hands were placed too far back. I was not able to put my COG in line with the COL or even move my COG in front of the COL to slowly descend. Instead, I was lifting, I was going backwards, and I was going out of control with the risk of stalling at any moment. So I've done this multiple times on the water, and if you're getting in situations like this multiple times, you kind of get used to it and you start thinking normally and not freaking out. So I was able to actually focus on the situation while I was flying backwards over the car park. So I looked back over my shoulder and I could see a lot of ugly things coming up back behind me. There were poles sticking out, there was a bridge, some cable running over the water, and the shoreline was dropping, so I knew there would be some wind turbulences, maybe shaking me. So I decided, while I was flying backwards over the car park, I decided I had to let go at some point and make this a controlled fall. I stretched my arms first to come down as far as I could, then I let go. I was falling, I was landing on both of my feet at the same time, trying to feather the impact with going down and then rolling over my head and over my shoulder because I was wearing a helmet, I was wearing an impact vest. So I think it went pretty well. I landed more or less equally on both feet, but the impact was just too hard. I broke the right feet, I think 7 times, and the left one 5 times, but there was no injury to anything else. My back was fine. Every doctor, and I talked to a lot of doctors, they were all concerned about my back. They said, if you're breaking your feet like this, it's a hard impact and there must be some injury on your back. But because I was feathering the impact and then rolling forward over my shoulder and over my head, my back was totally fine. There was so much potential for a way harder accident. Just imagine the wing shifting to one side, giving me a push and making my fall uncontrolled, hitting a pole like a single small impact item piercing through my body. So I think at that point it was the totally right decision. And everyone who's witnessed the accident, all my mates, they said, wow, this could have been so much worse. Looking back at the accident, it's one of those moments where you want to go back in time just a few minutes, because it's not been one mistake. It's been a small mistake and another one, all lining up, putting me in a situation where I did not want to end up. But things go quick, and they go quick out of control, and that's something you should keep in mind. Kiters know that you should not jump on the beach, and there's so many horrifying stories about people just giving it a quick push on the bar and then ending up in hospital. And it's more or less the same with me. I made a minor jump, something that was really not big, but having the gust shooting up, running in that upstream, wrong hand placement, all led to me being in bed for 6 weeks, ending up in a wheelchair for almost 2 months, and now slowly recovering. And I wish I could turn back time, which I can't, but I can teach you. I can tell you not to make the same mistakes. So now you know it's not been a major crash, it's not a great story. It's been a hard time for me, it's been a really hard time for my family. I'm slowly doing better, but my feet still hurt. I'm getting back into foiling. You might have seen I've done some prone foiling recently. I bought myself a foil drive, which is really helping me getting back on foil. But I still go back to bed with pain in my feet, and I wake up the next morning with my feet being hard. And walking is pretty painful for the first couple of minutes, and there's only a few moments a day where I forget about the pain and where I forget about my accident. And before I finish this video, I want to thank every single follower and fan for your great support. There's been so many messages, you sent me so much love, and this is what kept me going. Thank you very, very much. And like always, if you have questions, use the comments below and I'll get back to you. Don't forget to subscribe. There's a lot of content coming up, a lot of new gear, a lot of new stuff, and a great announcement probably tomorrow. So hopefully see you back on this channel very soon. Take care.